He arrived just before sunset, when the sky was fading into a pale shade of gold, and the road ahead seemed to dissolve into silence. The town was not on his map, he was certain of that, yet there it was, small houses lined in perfect order, warm lights glowing behind clean windows, and a quietness so deep it felt unnatural. No cars, no voices, no movement, only the soft whisper of wind brushing against empty streets. He stepped out of his car slowly, expecting someone to notice him. No one did. The air felt heavier inside the town, like a place that had been holding its breath for a very long time. He walked past a bakery with fresh bread displayed behind the glass. The scent was real, warm, inviting, but there was no baker, no footsteps behind the counter, no sound of life, only silence watching him from every direction. Then he noticed something strange. Every clock he passed showed the same time, 6:47 p.m. He checked his phone, 6:12 p.m. A flicker of unease crept into his chest, but curiosity pulled him deeper into the empty streets. He knocked on a door. No answer. He called out. His voice seemed to vanish before it could echo. When the sun touched the horizon, the temperature dropped suddenly, not gradually, instantly, like a switch had been turned off. The lights inside the houses began to dim one by one. He turned around to leave, but the road he came from was gone. In its place stood a long stretch of fog, thick and motionless, swallowing everything beyond a few meters. The town that had felt abandoned moments ago now felt aware of him, as if it had been waiting. Then he heard footsteps behind him, slow, careful, human. He spun around, but there was no one there. Only a single house at the end of the street, with its door slowly opening by itself, and from inside a faint whisper called his name. The problem was, he had never been here before. So how did the town know who he was? Night fell, and with it, the town began to disappear. He stood frozen as the last trace of sunlight vanished behind the silent rooftops. The fog at the edge of the town began to move, not drifting, but crawling, inch by inch toward the streets. The air grew colder, sharper, heavier with a presence he could not see. The open door at the end of the street remained still, waiting. He told himself not to go closer, yet his feet moved anyway. Each step echoed too loudly in the silence. Each breath sounded chujian, كأنه شخص آخر يتنفس مكانه. When he reached the doorway, the whisper returned, softer now, almost welcoming. Inside, the house was warm. A single lamp lit a small room that looked lived in, recently. A cup of tea still steamed on a wooden table. A coat hung by the door. Dustless surfaces, no signs of abandonment, but no people. Then he saw the photographs, dozens of them, covering the wall from floor to ceiling. They were all pictures of him, different ages, different clothes, different moments he did not remember living. In some photos, he was smiling beside people whose faces had been scratched out. In others, he stood alone in this very house, staring directly at the camera with an expression of quiet fear. His hands began to tremble. A sound came from upstairs, a slow, dragging step, then another. He looked toward the staircase. The light above flickered once. The whisper spoke again, this time from everywhere at once. You always come back. The temperature dropped violently, the lamp went out, darkness swallowed the room, and from somewhere above, something began walking down the stairs, not hurried, not hunting, certain, like it knew he could never escape the town, because he never truly left. Outside, the fog had already erased half the street, and the night was only beginning.
Something inside him understood that running would only make the town close in faster. The sound of slow footsteps descending the staircase echoed through the darkness, calm, deliberate, patient. He forced himself to speak. "Who's there?" Silence answered first. Then a voice, identical to his own, replied from the shadows. "You." The shape that emerged was not fully visible. It was a silhouette formed from absence rather than presence, darker than the darkness around it. It moved with familiarity, like someone wearing his memories as a body. He stepped backward until his shoulder struck the wall covered in photographs. The figure stopped a few steps away. "You always arrive before the town disappears," the voice said gently, "and every time you forget why." Fragments of memory stabbed through his mind, flashes without context, a road at night, a desperate escape, a promise spoken in fear, a door closing behind him while something remained inside. His breath shook. What is this place? The silhouette tilted its head. "This is where you left us." The walls began to tremble softly, as if the house itself had awakened. The photographs peeled away from the surface and drifted downward like ash. Each one revealed a hidden mark beneath, tallies carved into the wall, hundreds of them. He felt an impossible realization forming, heavy and unavoidable. How many times have I been here? The answer came without hesitation. Every night you try to forget. A violent sound erupted outside, like structures collapsing in slow motion. Through the window he saw the town dissolving into fog, piece by piece. Houses faded at their edges, streets unraveled into emptiness. The world was being erased, except for this house. The silhouette stepped closer. "You made a bargain," it whispered. "To leave this place alive, you gave something in return." Cold dread flooded his chest. "What did I give?" The figure raised an arm, and where its hand should have been, there was only a hollow shape, as if something had been removed. "You gave your memory of what lives here." The floor beneath him pulsed like a heartbeat. The air thickened until breathing became painful. "And when memory fades," the voice continued softly, "the town calls you back so you can remember again." Another memory tore through him, clearer this time. He saw himself standing in this house before, saw fear in his own eyes, heard himself whisper a desperate agreement to something unseen. "Take the memory, just let me leave." His knees weakened. "If I remember, what happens?" The silhouette answered with quiet certainty. "Then the town will no longer need to bring you back." Outside, the last remaining houses dissolved into mist. Only this single structure remained in an endless sea of fog. The silhouette extended its hollow hand toward him. "Remember and choose." A deep vibration spread through the walls. From beyond the house came distant voices, not human, not words, but a chorus of presence waiting. He closed his eyes, and for the first time he tried to remember everything.
The whisper returned, closer than breath. The night is not when the town disappears, a pause. It is when it reveals what was hidden. Darkness surged forward, and the door behind him slowly locked.